Former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz says that he will not run for president. Schultz had publicly considered running for the White House as an independent. The 66-year-old had planned to spend roughly $100 million on a campaign, but the billionaire says that he did not want to risk taking votes from a moderate Democratic nominee like former Vice President Joe Biden. Schultz also cited back surgeries that he's had to have, saying that the recovery has made it difficult for him to travel. CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns joins me now from Londonderry, New Hampshire. She's actually there to cover tomorrow's state Democratic convention. So, Caitlin, I want to ask you about Schultz. What exactly are we hearing about how he decided to make this determination, and what's next for him?
Well, remember almost immediately after Schultz said that he was thinking about waging an independent party bid, Democrats came out of the woodwork decrying his entry and saying that it would have taken away from Democrat support in 2020. They thought an independent bid from Schultz would really derail their chances of defeating Donald Trump. They're really up in arms about it. So he kind of reevaluated his status in the campaign. You cited that back surgery as well. He has not been active on the trail at all for the past several months. So this doesn't exactly come as a surprise. It does, though, come as an acknowledgement that waging an independent party bid is very difficult. You have to make the ballot in all of these states, which is no easy task. And you mentioned, though, that all that money he planned on spending in this campaign. What does he use that for? He said he will donate that to political causes. So we'll kind of watch to see how, if and how he remains influential in this process.
We know you're there in New Hampshire for the Democratic convention, which starts tomorrow. Why is this such a big event for the Democratic Party and for these presidential hopefuls?
Well, I know we've been focusing a lot on Iowa and South Carolina, but New Hampshire wants to say, look, we are in this too. They are the first state to hold a primary. This is a tradition that goes back 100 years. They take this role very seriously. Iowa has the first in the nation caucuses. New Hampshire has the first in the nation primary. So 19 candidates are coming to New Hampshire today and tomorrow to address that big state party convention. We're expecting several thousand New Hampshire voters, activists, local lawmakers. You're going to see all of these candidates try to court support here in New Hampshire. I will say this is a state that it's easy to get around. It's easy to campaign. Lots of candidates who are considered underdogs like to come here because they believe they can make that, person-to-person interaction. They believe retail politics here can really still win the day, even in a nationalized kind of campaign environment. So here, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren are topping the polls. We're here at a Kamala Harris event that is starting to get underway soon here. She has not been in the state a lot, and there are questions about how tough she is competing here. But Joe Biden is leading, Bernie Sanders in second, Elizabeth Warren in third in the polls, all trying to make their pitch.
And we know Joe Biden picked up endorsements from two former chairs of the New Hampshire Democratic Party today. How crucial is that for the convention, for the candidates, also for his support there?
Right, he is leading the polls here, and he wants to kind of make a pitch to more moderate voters in the state. About 40% of the electorate here are actually undeclared voters, so they can actually participate in the different primaries. Since there's not a competitive Republican primary, he's hoping that a lot of them can turn out for him in the Democratic primary here in New Hampshire. But Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders come from neighboring states, Massachusetts and Vermont, of course, and are making distinct pitches here. Elizabeth Warren has had the most visits of all of the candidates, and Bernie Sanders second. Sanders, of course, defeated Hillary Clinton in the primary in 2016 overwhelmingly. He's trying to build upon that support that he had then and grow it. Elizabeth Warren has been focused on the person-to-person interactions, coming to town halls, telling her personal stories. She has the advantage of just being across the border and easy to get here, so she's campaigned here a lot.
How do we know? We're seeing candidates, some invest more heavily in New Hampshire than in Iowa or South Carolina. Caitlin, what goes into the calculus of determining how much effort and money you pour into a state like that?
Right. Well, since Iowa goes first, you're seeing a lot of candidates stay in that state, campaign, build out organizations, but New Hampshire is the first to actually have a primary. And, you know, it has been kind of fickle in the past. Remember, Bernie Sanders won here in 2016. Bill Clinton did not actually win the primary the first time around, but he came in second and saw that as kind of a way for him to come back. He called himself the comeback kid after his showing here in New Hampshire. Pat Buchanan also defeated Bob Dole in the primary in 1996. So sometimes it picks unusual candidates. Other times it can kind of go with the establishment. So we're watching to see whether voters here, as we talk to them throughout the weekend, whether they want to pick a candidate who can defeat Donald Trump or whether they're kind of rallying around a candidate that they're passionate about. I can say that all of these candidates will be courting those important activists, state and local lawmakers at the convention tomorrow. It'll be a big crowd.
All right. We look forward to more of your reporting. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks for joining us, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Well, crews are